D'Angelo Ponds is the pick by the New York Jets. So Aaron Glenn gets a guy who's comped to Aaron Glenn. The Jets select Ponds at number 50. I love the value here. I think D'Angelo Ponds is a plug-and-play starter for this team. I understand he's 5'8", 5 and whatever, like, 5'8", whatever the measurement actually is. Let's round up to 5'9". But D'Angelo Ponds has an incredible vertical. He can make plays. Aaron Glenn said yesterday the Jets want guys from winning programs. This guy's coming from Indiana. He wanted guys that could take over games. We saw Ponds take over the game in the playoff win over the Oregon Ducks. He had an interception against Dante Moore that he returned to the house. I like the pick a lot. I think the Jets got really good value here with D'Angelo Ponds. I love it even more that they traded out of 44 to get an extra fourth before taking this guy. I think he's a really good fit for what the Jets are trying to do. I think he could play in multiple schemes. And I think it's a nice piece to go with Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana on offense, and now to get Ponds from Indiana on defense added to the Jets. I'm on board. I think this is a really good pick by Darren, Mougey, and Aaron Glenn here, going with Ponds. Again, he ran a 4.36 40-yard dash. His vertical is awesome. He's going to make plays. The Jets don't make plays. They didn't have an interception this past year. Ponds is a playmaker. I think he's going to have a role on this defense right away. Dylan, your initial reaction?
Yeah, I'm stoked for this pick. Aaron Glenn is not going to pass up on Aaron Glenn, right? Like, and Daniel Jeremiah was cheesing ear to ear because as soon as the graphic flashed up of D'Angelo Ponds, that last line said Aaron Glenn, and you knew that Daniel Jeremiah was waiting. He even tweeted it out that he was waiting to see if that was going to be the pairing. I love this pick. Like we talked about, it's from a winning program. It's actually hilarious. The D'Angelo Ponds interception return for a touchdown against Dante Moore probably was the throw where many Jets fans jumped off the Dante Moore bandwagon, right? Like they were like, oh no, this guy's cooked. He can't even throw a simple out route against D'Angelo Ponds. Yeah, no shit. He's probably going to jump it and take it to the house. So is he the most talented corner in the Jets room right now today? Possibly. I think there's a really good chance he is. It is just going to be interesting. Do they prioritize him as a boundary guy? Do they like him more in the slot? He is 5'8" and 5'8". So a very small player, probably going to be one of the smaller guys on the field any given Sunday. But he definitely does not play like the smallest guy on the field. And I'm really excited to see how they use him because it's going to be an interesting fit in this defense.
Dane Brugler has D'Angelo Ponds as his 6th rated corner. He has him as his 38th overall player, so very good value there. Had a second-round grade on him, and guess what? They got him into the second round after trading back and getting a fourth. So from a value standpoint, I think this is really exciting. If you're a Jet fan, Ponds, look, we know he's undersized, which is why he fell, but he's got top-tier speed, instincts, competitive toughness. That ingrained with his play style makes him hard to bet against him becoming an inside-outside NFL starter. So, again, I like the pick. I know a lot of the draft, analysis on Ponds was that he was a perfect fit for what Aaron Glenn likes. We know Glenn likes, the bigger corners, but you said it best. He can't pass up on an opportunity to draft, the 2026 version of himself. And what I like about Ponds is the guy's had to overcome a lot. He started at James Madison. He worked his way through the recruiting ranks to get there in the first place. And then he goes over with Cignetti to Indiana. The guy just wins, man. He just makes plays. So I think D'Angelo Ponds is a good pick by the Jets. I don't know if anyone could be that upset with the process that led us to D'Angelo Ponds.
No, and he's probably going to give you some special teams value as well to start off his career. So this is going to be a pick that, again, it's going to take a developmental plan and a strategy to get him on the field. But he's one of those, okay, if you're playing a team with a lot of small, fast wide receivers, like what the Dolphins were under Mike McDaniel per se, then you probably want D'Angelo Ponds instead of Jarvis Brownlee in the nickel. If you suffer an injury, is D'Angelo Ponds good enough to get you out of a game or maybe a month's worth of games on the boundary, right? If it's him and A.Z. Thomas or him and Brandon Stevens, he's definitely a guy that's going to give AG flexibility. And I think that's kind of been the crux of their secondary moves on defense is give, flexibility to scheme, and we can be multiple with what we do on the back end as well as the front end. I know we talked about odd and even front looks, but on the back end, they have the opportunity to be multiple as well. So every player takes a developmental plan. This one, it's going to be interesting considering what the current cornerback room looked like.
So D'Angelo Ponds is now a Jet. Let's look at the corner room, Dylan. Obviously, Brandon Stevens is the high-priced free agent signing from a year ago. So he is someone that is going to be a starter going into the year. I think they'd like Azareye'h Thomas to be their other starter on the outside, but Ponds is going to come in. He's going to compete for a role and get playing time, I think, as a rookie immediately.
Yeah, they traded a 7th-round pick for Jarvis Brownlee, I believe, or a 6th-round pick and got a 7th back for Jarvis Brownlee. So there's a good chance D'Angelo Ponds is already being viewed in that building as the starting slot corner, like I said, against smaller offensive wide receivers. But then you still have Brownlee, you still have Malachi Moore, you have Minka who can rotate in there. So I do think D'Angelo Ponds in their base, like 4-2-5 nickel sets, he's going to be that slot guy with Stevens and AZ.
I'm excited to see, how the Jets could use this guy, man. I mean, he could do a lot of different things, man. His vertical at the combine was unbelievable. I'm trying to find the exact vertical jump, 43.5.
True. At 5'8", that's crazy.
That's how you get drafted in the second round, because if you're small as a corner, you're not going to get picked unless you have like a freak athletic trait that can help make up for the fact that on jump balls, you're just not going to get mossed.
Yeah, 43.5-inch vert, and I believe they said on the broadcast he ran in the 4.3s. Maybe you even said it yourself. Ran in the 4.3s, I believe, at his pro day. So they're prioritizing guys. And D'Angelo Ponds, another one. This is their 4th pick. The analytics on D'Angelo Ponds are very high. They overhauled their analytics department. They didn't necessarily overhaul their scouting department in the last, year and plus with Darren Mougey at the helm. So they're definitely an analytics-based team when it comes to their drafting philosophy. And so far, I think it's not a 4-for-4 grand slam type of draft for the Jets, but this is a really good draft so far.
So far, so good. So to recap the Jets draft selections, night 1, David Bailey, Kenyon Sadiq, and Omar Cooper Jr. And so far, night 2, the Jets trade down from 44 with the Lions, move back 6 spots, and then take D'Angelo Ponds 50th overall. And let's see if Darren Mougey now wants to be aggressive with the Jets 3 forts, if he could get back into the 3rd round at some point. We still got ways to go till then, Dylan. But right now, we're at pick 52. Packers pick is about to be submitted and announced here. But, the Jets, they certainly have had a nice draft so far. And I want to shout out Adam is Too Cool, who's an Indiana alum, who goes, you can imagine how excited I am. Congrats, Adam. You're in the raffle for 4. You got yourself Omar Cooper. Now you got yourself D'Angelo Ponds. Again, Indiana players are incredibly well coached. So that makes me feel good, because I don't know how good the Jet coaching is actually going to be. So just taking good football players who, can, come from winning programs, that's going to be super helpful when you're playing for the Jets.
Yeah, 100%. They are prioritizing winners from winning programs. So I can't really fault the strategy. We'll find out if the coaching staff themselves are indeed winners, but I don't mind this philosophy so far through the first 4 picks.
Hit the like button if you're just joining us. We got over 1,000 people watching live. Make sure you guys check out Dylan Teremen's YouTube channel. Subscribe to DT. His link is in the description for the video to do so. Let's see. We got a super chat from Zach. He's in the raffle for 8 here. Hill, Jacques, Prignon, Xavier / Pond. So you got Pond, Zach. So there you go. One of your players you wanted, you in fact got. Big fella says Pond's no doubt a Glenn ego pick. I also do think that there's a chance Ponds was their highest rated player when they got here too. I understand it's easy to clown on Glenn. Believe me, I am certainly not someone who believes in this head coach, but I liked Ponds as a player. Like, I just think the guy is really good. Like, you watched Indiana, he would stand out. And I'm not the biggest college guy, but when I would watch Indiana, because I was watching Mendoza all year, D'Angelo Ponds was a guy that always stood out to me.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he was the number 1 guy left on their board at this point. Obviously, like we mentioned before, draft boards are going to look drastically different across the league. Outside of like the first 20 to 25 picks in this class specifically, it's not like other classes. I just feel like there's so much difference in opinion that D'Angelo Ponds might have been their highest ranked player, even if they were sitting there at 33 still, So we don't know who exactly is on their board because the overall consensus board is every single player. That's not how the Jets or any team should operate. So I would not be surprised if Pons was like a top 1 or 2 guy left on their board at this point.
D'Angelo Pons, the pick by the Jets. The pick at 52 is in. Another corner off the board, Dylan. Packers select South Carolina cornerback Brandon Cease. So Pons and Cease will be compared to each other because they both went within 2 picks of each other. The Jets could have had him. Instead, they go with Pons.
Yeah, another combine kind of boomer. I guess boomer's the wrong word, but a boom guy, riser from the combine. He almost jumped 11 feet in the broad, 41 inches in the vertical. Super athletic. I didn't love his tape when I watched him when he was getting mocked to the Jets. But he's a press man corner. I think he fits what the Packers want to do. That was the Packers' first pick too, by the way, because they obviously didn't have their first rounder due to the Micah Parsons trade. So that is the very first pick for the Packers in this draft, and they went with a corner, which was definitely a need for them.
All right, Asmaniacs, listen up for a second. No matter what you're watching, whether it's New York sports or any game you didn't plan on caring about, there's no better way to stay locked in than with PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made simple. You're just picking more or less on player projections. That's it. No complicated lineups, no nonsense. Just you versus the numbers. And here's why I love it. Even if it's a game you normally wouldn't care about, once you got a lineup going, you're locked in. Every play matters, every drive matters, every at-bat matters. I've been mixing sports too. Maybe a little football, throwing some baseball, maybe some basketball, and now you've got action across the board all night, and PrizePicks makes it even better with features like early cash outs if your picks are hitting, the ability to mix multiple sports in one lineup, and you can even see what other people are playing and tail their picks. So if you haven't tried it yet, what are you doing? Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use code HMA. That's HMA, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, it's HMA on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. Phantom Green and White with the super chat. Pons is a Mickens/Glenn combo. We love it. If D'Angelo Pons is as successful as Mickens and Aaron Glenn were as players for the Jets, this is a home run selection by New York.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Aaron Glenn had over 40 interceptions alone for the team, so we couldn't muster up one last year. I think D'Angelo Pons will help us in that department.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Jet fans, how are we feeling about the D'Angelo Pons pick? We'll read some of your comments. Also going to take your calls reacting to the Pons selection. We'll see if Darren Mougey's got another trade in store for tonight as the New York Jets sit on the clock on day 3 now with 3 fourth-round picks. So that will be all coming up. I want to shout out Jeffrey, who gifted a membership not once but twice. So that's 4 entries for Jeffrey in our Monday draft raffle featuring the following signed Jets prizes: Mason Taylor helmet, Garrett Wilson helmet, Darrell Revis helmet, Nick Mangold helmet. I'm rocking the 74 tonight. RIP to Nick. And the Joe Namath signed helmet, our top prizes in the weekly raffle. We got a super chat here from CCAP. He says, let's package our 4th-round picks for a 3rd-round pick and select a middle linebacker or a center/guard. We were running the math on this. It doesn't feel like even if they took the 3 forwards, it'd be enough to really get into the 3rd round. There's a huge drop-off from 4th round to the 3rd round in the trade chart.
Yeah, if they gave up all 3 of their 4th-round picks, which I don't advise them doing, they could get all the way as high as 71. So even if you try to package 2 of those, you're moving up into the 80s or 90s. So it is doable. But I think that's where the conversation of next year's draft capital would have to come into play for them to get up as high as I think Jets fans want. But there seems to be a ton of movement. Eagles pick is in. The Colts took C.J. Allen, the linebacker from Georgia. And then the Patriots look like they've traded up from 63 to 55. So Eagles pick is in, and the Patriots are on the clock now after a pretty sizable move up with the Chargers.
So the Pats are coming up where they were at 63 and they're coming up to 55. NFL.com's draft tracker hasn't even updated that just yet. So that's interesting. The pick is in officially for the Colts, C.J. Allen, the linebacker from Georgia. And now we have the pick officially in for the Eagles, a tight end coming off the board. 2nd tight end drafted after the Jets took Sadiq last night Eli Stowers, the tight end from Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia's number one weapon, is off the board here in the draft. Your thoughts on Stowers, DT?
He was somebody that I believe Dom C linked to the Jets in March when we did our very first top 44 mock draft. And it got a bit of a reaction from Jets fans. And then you look into it a little bit more, it makes sense. I think it's funny because you type in Eli Stowers and it says Patriots consider trade down for tight end Eli Stowers. And then he went, and then the Patriots immediately traded up to the very next pick. So they're clearly not going to get Eli Stowers, but definitely a fun player. Watching him run after the catch. He was the Mackey Award winner for the nation's top tight end, which is cool. I liked him when I watched the very little bit of him that I did. Thought he would be a good fit for the Jets, but obviously they went with Sadiq. So good fit for the Eagles. They're going to have to replace, who is it, Dallas Goedert, who's going to retire in a couple years, right? I think he's getting up there in age. So good pick for the Eagles. They went, who'd they go in the first round? Oh, they got Mekhi Lemon, and now they get Eli Stowers. So they're double dipping at pass catcher as well.
You know they're trading A.J. Brown, so they're trying to replace him in the aggregate, as they say.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got some super chats here. We're going to get to your calls as well. A bunch of you on hold, so I promise we're going to get to your calls. Want to hear from Jet fans reacting to the picks. This one is from Sean Bennett. He goes, yeah, what C Cap said. So again, C Cap wants the Jets to try and find themselves back into the third round. Gun to my head, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to stay where they are and just use some of their picks tomorrow.
I have a strange feeling that I'm going to get an alert on my phone from the New York Jets mobile app saying that the Darren Mougey, Aaron Glenn press conference has started, which means that their night would be over in round 2. So we'll see how long it takes. I don't know at what point they'll probably just call it and not try to trade up, but maybe they're trying to work the phones right now and get back in.
Super chats, cut the line. Bud Clark at 103. Zach Van Buren wants Bud Clark, who you and I watched in person at the Senior Bowl. I like Bud Clark. I'd take him at 103 if he makes it.
I love Bud. Been a fan of Bud for more than half of my life. Yeah, Bud Clark is a good pick.
You need some snacks? I have some Cheez-Its for you. I know you're such a big fan of Bud. You might want some snacks with it.
I wish I had the Cheez-It box still by my bedside like I had earlier this afternoon. I had the extra cheesy ones too. Yeah, no, Bud Clark is a good pick. We mocked him in our mock draft. A very fun mock draft pick at 103. So you don't get a safety in this round or in the third round. I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
Joseph Leon checks in. Jake, any chance that the Cincinnati Bengals stink? Joe Burrow wants out. Maybe, but I don't know if he wants to go to the Jets. I don't know if he's going to be like, yep, let me go from Cincinnati with bad ownership to the MetLife turf with Woody Johnson at the controls here. You can't rule it out. Anything can happen. Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre were Jets, but I would be very surprised. I think the Jets' plan is to stack their team and get set for 2027 and take their swing on a young quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think Joe would say, yeah, I want out. Let me go to New York. Real quick, JMax99 in the chat says maybe they trade a player. Could we big brain a Will McDonald trade and get back into the third round? I don't
Who's
think
the player you would that's
McDonald.
worth it though.
Will McDonald is the only player worth trading at this point.
But then you got to replace Will McDonald.
Well, they did yesterday with David Bailey. But I'm just saying, I think that's the only player that's like actually considerable for a trade right now because everybody else is like Olu, Membu, Tippmann. You're not trading those type of players. So I think the only one you could really, or Jamie Sherwood, but Sherwood's not getting you back a third round pick. He's going to get you like a 5 or a 6.
If that, because he's making $15 million this year, all guaranteed. So you'd have to pay some of the salary.
The Jets would have to eat a lot of the salary to get the most return in terms of draft capital.
Mike Duramo with a super chat was on the Reese train, but after seeing Bailey's presser today, I'm sold. Seems like an intelligent kid, Stanford grad, brother's a Harvard grad. I think he could learn to stop the run. The one thing I will say, and Mike, thanks for the super chat, my friend. I got you down for 4. The one thing I will say is for everyone who kept saying Arvell Reese will be coached up by Carl Dunbar, and I agreed with that. We can't now not move the goalposts and say Carl Dunbar can't work with David Bailey to teach him to be better against the run. That's the one thing I think is unfair when we're like, oh, he's bad against the run, as if like he can't improve in that area.
Yeah, no matter what, Carl Dunbar needed to develop one half of one of their players' developmental plan at number 2. And that was either David Bailey's run defense or Arvell Reese's pass rush arsenal. Maybe they just felt a lot better about what David Bailey already brings as a floor against run defense versus Arvell Reese against the pass. I mean, we'll wait to see how they use these guys. You're right. Carl Dunbar is a very good coach, and I think that it's unfair to say that and then turn around and say he can't develop David Bailey. Both of these players have they have that football type of mentality, right? Like they're going to be good football players. It just depends on what it looks like with this defense.
There's something magical about having some coffee out of my NFL draft mug I got from the 2019 draft in Nashville.
Yeah, this is just my daily Jets mug that I use every single day at work. So, but it's got coffee in it. I needed it the last 2 days trying to stay up and do the late night streams. Working, oh my God, this job that we're working is awful. We had to replace like multiple areas of their entire floor, like subfloor included, like down to the studs, frame out all of this shit. Oh, it's a nightmare.
They pay you the big bucks.
Yeah, don't have pets if you're just gonna let them sit in one specific room and pee in a corner for 5 years of their life.
The pick is in for the New England Patriots, and they take a guy that apparently was on the Jets' radar. Rich Samiti said this a couple of weeks back. Gabe Yakis from Illinois, edge rusher, goes to the Pats, 55th overall. So the Jaguars are on the clock. Their pick is apparently in as well. Bears will then pick. We're at 57, and let's see, the final pick of the second round is the Seahawks at 64. So we still have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks to go until the end of the second round before the third round will get underway. Let's see. Super chat here from Wrong Verb, who says, how will Cooper and Pons adjust going from Signetti to AG? Will it be like when Luke Wilson's character wakes up from hibernation and idiocy?
Idiocracy. Oh,
Idiocracy. I've never seen that movie. I've heard of it, though.
Dude, we are living it. As soon as you watch it, you'll be like, damn, this is exactly what we're living in real life. Funny story, it's sidebar. I'll get to the question, but Idiocracy, the director wanted a low-budget shoe that he wanted to look like an idiot shoe for the movie. Can you guess what shoe company it is today that he used in that movie? To be the idiot shoe. What do you think is the goofiest looking pair of shoes you've ever seen right now?
The goofiest pair of shoes. I don't know. It's a like
Crocs.
Really?
Everybody is wearing Crocs because they're like a futuristic, dumb-looking shoe.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.